So my presentation is about Brazil. Starting off with the historical development of Brazil, in the 1500s, Portuguese explorer Pedro Álvares Cabral discovered Brazil while en route to India. In 1549, Jesuit priests arrived and began to convert locals to Christianity. In 1824, the first constitution of Brazil was adopted, and the country was recognized by the United States. In the 2000s, Brazil's 500th anniversary was held, and in 2011, the first woman president of Brazil was elected, and she served from 2011 to 2016 until she was impeached from office. And the political regime, Brazil is divided into 26 federal states as well as the Federal District of Brazil. The federal states have their own constitutions and laws that must comply with the principles of the federal constitution. In addition to this, the federal states are divided into further municipalities, and the executive power is exercised by the president and his ministers of the state. He is directly elected by the people for 4 years and can be re-elected just once. The National Congress is the legislative power. It is a bicameral parliament consisting of the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate. Each state is represented by 3 senators, and the voters from sparsely populated areas are favored compared to other more populated areas. Senators are usually former governors, mayors of large cities, or state presidents, so they're basically people with political experience. The Supreme Court in Brazil is called Supremo Tribunal Federal, which is a constitutional court, and it reviews federal, state, and local laws and guidelines. The court also makes decisions in disputes between the federal government and the states, and also disagreements between 2 or more states. This is just Brazil's unemployment rate. It shows the estimated of the percentages of the total labor force in Brazil. This data is from January 7, 2025, and the unemployment rate in 2024 was the highest out of the last 4 years. The political conflict and competition of Brazil. In 2025, the global balance of power was being redefined as the BRICS nations, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, emerged as a formidable bloc challenging the dominance of the Western-led world order. BRICS represents counterbalance to the United States and its allies. The New Development Bank, often referred to as the BRICS Bank, has increased its financing of infrastructure and sustainable development projects in the global south. Now, in contrast, the West, which is led by the U.S. and the European Union, wants to preserve its dominance by remaining committed to preserving its global leadership. Through NATO, the G7, and other alliances, Western nations are reinforcing their military, economic, and technological advantages. And to this, the West's response to BRICS includes economic sanctions and trade barriers, which strengthens the strategic alliances and promoting democratic values. The BRICS Bank has also increased its financing of the infrastructure and sustainable development projects in the global south. With society, Brazil is predominantly a Roman Catholic country with an estimated percentage of 65% of the population affiliated to a religion. The symbol of Brazil's religious affiliation is a colossal statue of the Christ of Vladimir that stands on the summit of Mount Corcovado in Rio de Janeiro, and that's a picture of it. When the Portuguese colonized Brazil, they brought with them the concept of machismo. This refers to when men were encouraged to exercise their strength and masculinity. Women residing in the urbanized areas are more predisposed to higher occupational and educational options. However, in poorer areas, women tend to be more disadvantaged with little access to education or career options and work mostly in low-paid, low-skilled industries. Afro-Brazilian women are particularly marginalized, and many work in domestic occupations such as maids or sex workers. This has led to the growth of the Afro-Brazilian feminist movement, who have been fighting for racial and gender inclusion for more than 40 years and still continue to do that. Moving on to language, it's one of the strongest elements of Brazil's national unity, with Portuguese the spoken language of nearly 100% of the population. The only exceptions are some of the members of Amerindian groups and pockets of immigrants who have not yet learned Portuguese. Within Brazil, there are no dialects of Portuguese, but only moderate regional variation in accent, vocabulary, and use of personal nouns. pronouns and verb conjugations. And then this is the website. Maybe not.
Kim, go ahead and hit the escape button, just upper left. And see if you can click on it now. You may have to hold down the control button and hit it at the same time.
Well, maybe not.
Okay, we can come back to it at the end if you need to.
Now, with the political economy, Brazil is the world's largest producer of coffee, sugarcane, and oranges, and is one of the world's largest producers of soya. With forests covering half of the country and the world's largest rainforest, Brazil is the world's fourth largest exporter of timber. Brazil is also home to the world's largest commercial livestock herd. Brazil's 2024 harvest produced 292.7 million tons of cereals, legumes, and oilseeds. At the beginning of the 21st century, inflation, financial instability, and unemployment remained constant threats, and political and financial scandals periodically erupted throughout the country. 10% of the people received nearly half of the country's income, whereas the poorest, 40% of the population, brought in less than 1/10 of the total. The Bank of Brazil is the largest bank in the country, which has numerous agencies at home and abroad, and is the main source of long-term loans for farmers and exporters of manufactured goods. Foreign relations with the world. China and the United States are its top two trading partners, and Brazil has built closer political and military ties with Russia. It has also involved itself in nuclear talks with Iran, even with objections from the United States. Brazil's sovereignty. The former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, took up the anti-global rhetoric and claimed that international norms and institutions threaten Brazil's sovereignty, which led him to distance Brazil from the United Nations, encourage development in the Amazon rainforest, and downplay the severity of COVID-19 pandemic, and also threatened to withdraw Brazil from the World Health Organization and the Paris Agreement, which is an international treaty on climate change, but he didn't follow through on any of these. The major ties are mostly with China and the European Union and Russia. China elevated its relations with Brazil to a comprehensive strategic partnership, which is the highest classification that China awards its partners. The current issues right now with Brazil has recently declared nationwide environmental emergency to prevent another devastating fire season in 2025. In the year 2024, there was record-breaking fires which burned millions of acres. Brazil's federal government will give 6 of the 8 Amazonian states $8 million to strengthen state-level fire sections. The state of emergency is set to last until somewhere between August 2025 and April 2026, depending on the region. And the infected mosquitoes issue is about the Pan American Health Organization, which has already recorded over 24,000 chikungunya cases and 7 fatalities in Brazil. 1,375 cases and 1 death have been reported so far this year. It has also been reported that in 2025, in February, Brazil confirmed about 400,000 dengue cases and 72 fatalities. And all of this have been caused from diseases that come in mosquitoes. Beginning in April 2025, new visa requirements for individuals from Australia, Canada, and the United States will apply in Brazil. Employers will need to make sure everyone accepts and sticks to these regulations for their international workforce from the countries. And then,